Today, I want to share with you something that's near and dear to my heart. The ways that some of the most successful Qigong masters and martial arts experts manage to combine their respective arts with various types of coaching. There are many types of coaching methodologies out there, including life coaching, business coaching, relationships, sports, and even peak performance coaching. As the pioneer of Qigong coaching myself, I'm particularly interested in the ways those experts manage to integrate the principles of energy awareness with their respective coaching modalities. In this short video clip, I want to introduce to you just 3 out of 12 experts featured in our season on coaching. Let me begin with a personal friend of mine, Dr. Raja ANCA, who believes that coaching in the context of Qigong allows you to arrive to the point of embodied consciousness. Roger can coach you how to maintain sustained focus on cultivation for a lifetime, which is like growing a garden, planting the seeds, watering the soil, nurturing the sprouts, weeding out the plants you don't want to grow in your garden, and patiently supporting those plants that you want to grow. Another expert I want to feature is Dr. Richard Strozzi-Heckler, who is the founder of Strozzi Institute, where he teaches somatic coaching, that he also pioneered. His approach to coaching is based on many years of studying psychology, combined with the practice of Aikido, as well as developing a U.S. Marine Corps martial arts program. Richard is a remarkable man with a wealth of experience and the heart of gold, which he generously shares with those willing to receive his coaching. And the third person I would like to feature today is Dr. Sonnon, who pioneered flow coaching, specializing on body flow and similar approaches based on his studies of Sambo, Spetsnaz, Systema, and other styles of Russian martial arts. His immersion experience that he undertook by moving to Russia for a few years helped him overcome his learning disabilities, master failure, and become a world-class athlete and fitness expert focusing on using club bells and body weight exercises. Extremely humble despite his evident success, Scott is a role model for the younger generation that tends to suffer from ADHD, dyslexia, and other learning disabilities. Today, I am delighted to reintroduce to you Dr. Raja ANCA, the founder of the International Institute of Integral Tai Chi and Qigong. I know that you've been doing a lot of research on the origins of these arts. Can you share with us a little bit about them?
It's probably somewhere around 10,000 years ago where what you could call the systematic approach arose in human intelligence. In Chinese medicine, we learn the 3 treasures of Jing, Qi, and Shen. Clearly, the ancients would have noticed that there was a sky above them, an earth below them, and biological interactions happening in between heaven and earth. And so the, shall we say, the logic or the rationale or some of the foundations for how we think of and perceive relationship between the physical and the spiritual was something in the middle called the mind and emotions. We think about spirit being associated with the quantum and the transcendental elixir, and the Tai Chi in the middle being associated with resonance and the magnetic field and the heart-mind elixir, and the physical being associated, or the yin being associated with the body and the functional aspect of the body, and the energy of the body, which we would call the ions, let's say, for instance.
Sure.
So the concept for all of this has to do with what I like to refer to as cultivation. Well, I am very focused personally, for thousands of different reasons, on the fact that cultivation of oneself is a worthy pursuit. To me, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, Qigong, these are the disciplines that have appealed to me. And then when I found how appealing they were to me, as a doctor of Oriental medicine or Chinese medicine with 30 years of clinical practice, I felt very motivated to support the people that I was treating in the clinic to understand the power of this cultivation, the practice, and so forth. And so began teaching others and writing some books about this. And the most interesting thing is that as I got further into Qigong and Tai Chi, I became less and less interested in giving treatments to people because in my mind, a person who could heal themselves through the discipline of self-cultivation, who doesn't, is missing something. I am not inclined to try to get people to like something that they don't like. So for the people who do get it, I become, shall we say, a counselor, a coach, a support person, an advocate, because when it looks like to me that a person has the docking sites in their being for Qigong and Tai Chi, then I become very interested in them. The heart of my work is to talent spot and find the people who are interested in Qigong and Tai Chi who would actually be inclined to become a part of how the world is a better place, not just by practicing themselves. And by the way, practicing by ourselves does work to make the world a better place. Coaches are people who support people in maximizing themselves at a pace that's reasonable in their lives.
What is it that successful teachers do that others don't?
The person is courageous and hardworking. So in other words, if they have a voice within them that says, I'm not doing this as well as I should, they will also tell that voice to shut up so that they can proceed with their intent, which is to help others. Most of the people who don't proceed as teachers are not doing so not because they're not well trained, not because they don't know enough, but because they don't believe in themselves. So I think that personal development and cultivating courage and hard work separates those who succeed from those who do not. And then I think that there's also something inherent, and we use this phrase, the democratization of Qigong and Qi and enlightenment is the whole idea that you don't become enlightened from another person, you become an enlightened person because you cultivate yourself. You're being encouraged to follow your heart and to awaken at a pace that is consistent with your essential nature, basically.
Absolutely. I am truly honored to introduce Scott Sonnon to you, and welcome, Scott, to our program.
Well, thank you. I appreciate being on your show. I'm going to die at any moment. We all are. I'm very aware of it. I've been close to it too many times. I've been stuck in a corset of agony, just pain searing my brain too many times. So I know it's coming. I know I'm only a shovelful away. So if death's going to be here, then this life that I've been given is temporary and it's precious. I'm going to make the best use of it. I'm going to be the best that I am once in my life. I'm going to do it before I die. And the better that I become, the more I can actually help other people who are, and I see them all the time. It doesn't matter if it's across the screen or across the yard. I see them all the time. They have that heavy blanket of hopelessness on them. They don't realize their own genius. They don't realize their own divinity. And all I want to do is just say to them, look, it's all a lie. Just shake it off. It's not you. What you're wearing, you don't need to carry it. So if I could just be the best once in my life, and I'm going to keep on working on it, then I can help the most amount of people. Pole, it's opposite pole, which is not just how to fight, but how to heal.
Great. Well, besides the techniques of high-tech Russian Qigong, you also brought another idea or something from Russia. I'm referring to the club bells.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Yes.
So we were trained in how to move. Okay, when I learned Korean styles and Japanese styles in the United States, and when we think of stick fighting, we think, well, at least in America, we think of now we think of Eskrima, Kali, the very light rattan sticks. But if you think about Japanese styles, you think about the long bows. But even those, they're very thin. But when we went to Russia, we're spinning logs. There are kids that were lifting up logs and spinning them around their bodies. I'm like, how in the world do you do this? And every joint was used as a fulcrum. Every point of the body moved around the implement rather than trying to move the implement. So it was much more sensitive than forcing the weapon to move. As you're moving around the weapon, it becomes lethal. And
you become part of the weapon.
Right. You're an extension of it rather than it being an extension of you. You give up your ego. When we take a look at how the body worked, we cut apart and we drained out the very stuff that causes us to be able to express power. We took off the fascial web and we drained out the ground substance and synovial fluid. So we looked at the bones and the muscle, and that's what we thought. Okay, if we make bigger parts, then the whole become better. If the whole's much greater than the sum of the parts, and we had removed the fluid body. So it was swinging weight that caused that fascial web to pull in tighter, to actually become even stronger, rather than focusing on the muscle belly, which caused the insertion points to become frayed. So when we would exercise in America, our joints would look like cotton candy. We'd just create all of that fraying of the insertion and attachment points. But the Soviets, it was like beef jerky. It was so
sinewy.
Sinewy. That you could grab a hold and try and submit a Russian, and they would squirm. And I remember the joke. I went against this was my second year with the Russians, and I had him in an armbar. There's no way he's going to get out of an armbar. I had him in an armbar, and I'm leaning back, and I swear I was hyperextending his elbow, and he looked at me and was like, "Scott, I smoke cigarette." Like it's no big deal to him. And I gave up. I'm like, I don't get it.
Today, I am thrilled to introduce to you Dr. Richard Strozzi-Heckler. Thank you, Richard, for inviting me to your beautiful dojo. And he is a 6th degree black belt in Aikido. He served in the Marine Corps in the United States military, and also organized the martial arts training for Marine Corps, and then also developed the somatic coaching, the system of coaching utilizing the whole body.
Somebody told me about Aikido. I went and saw Aikido, and I had the same feeling, like, oh, this is path. This is something that I can cultivate my soul in, and at the same time learn how to take effective action in the world.
When was that?
That was 1972. But you're really training your attention, and we know that people who are successful and fulfilled are able to concentrate, and they're able to focus, open their attention.
Now, besides attention, perhaps we can also look into how does that ability to pay attention affect you somatically, and also how it translates into other aspects of life. You mentioned one of the legs of the stool. How about the other two?
So one is the martial arts, one is this notion of a meditation, contemplative practice,
okay.
And the third is what I would call a somatic or a body-oriented psychology.
Various tools and techniques and hopefully even principles that you offer to your clients or students that they would be able to learn how to apply certain tools under certain circumstances, right?
Absolutely. And I prefer to use the word principles and distinctions because in our rational discourse, when people think of a toolbox, they go, oh, I'll take this tool and bring it out, as opposed to you're the tool. And if it's in your body, it will come out naturally in the way that you interact with people. And the key to embodying that is practices. If there's body learning, then there's embodiment.
Sure.
And body learning is like 300 repetitions. That what is we call our conditioned tendency, our automatic historical reflexes when under pressure. And they begin to experience that by sensation. My shoulders rise up, I hold my breath, I clamp my jaw, I disassociate, I freeze. We go through that over and over again so they become very intimate with that place. Now that will often set off things about their history and what had happened in their history, in their background. And if that looms large, we will then work with that. So we put them through a number of practices in a group situation where they begin to see, oh, everybody has a history. It's not like there's anything wrong with you necessarily. And everybody can come to this place of going, oh, here I'm triggered and I want to fight, I want to flee, I want to freeze, I want to disassociate, but I now have this choice. If energy follows attention, choice follows awareness. Now that I have awareness, I can take a different action. And if I practice it on a daily basis, it doesn't have to go through my cognitive process. By building that capacity to then see in that way, you can also see that way when you're in your suit and tie.
Yeah.
So a strong leader will manage that mood and build a mood of openness, curiosity, and possibility. That we actually share all this together, and the way that I'm moving it will affect the other person or persons, the trees, the four-leggeds, our flowers, our fruits. And that our first step in doing that is to bringing our attention to the life of the body. Those in the martial arts or the somatic arts that are serious and sincere about what we're doing, this is the point that we all need to be moving towards. That a fundamental reality is that we are all interconnected.
What would you say is the distinction between the teacher and the coach?
A teacher will have a path that they've inherited, they've integrated inside of themselves, and they're helping to pass on that path to you that has both technique and principles and presence in it. Ri and Li. And in what a coach does is they take a very clear interview and a deep listening about what you care about and say, then let me reflect these things back to you, ask you these questions, offer certain practices that you can do that I would say from my experience and the way that I listen to you will help you fulfill on that ambition.
If you enjoyed this short video clip, you will love our full collection of interviews included in this season of our show dedicated to coaching. Please go to qigongmasters.com/coaching to discover this season, and if you'd like to get access to our current season on success, please go to qigongmasters.com and join our tribe. As a charter member, you will get a generously discounted membership and several awesome bonuses, including the online courses on Qigong fundamentals, how to overcome Qigong problems, and abundance through being in the flow. Please click the button below this video to join our international community of Qigong practitioners dedicated to helping you manifest and live your dream of mastering energy arts.